On today's episode of WatchJRGo, we are back in the shop with my Land Rover Discovery, one of 150, and I made a huge mistake. You already know what it was. I opened the sunroofs. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, we are back with the Land Rover. And in the last video, of course, I noticed while I was editing at 11:45 last night, a forum post that said, I just learned that the cruise control runs through the horn fuse. So while we were troubleshooting, way after we finished testing the cruise and everything yesterday, after I thought we fixed it all, right? We replaced the vacuum lines, we checked all the fuses. It turns out that horn fuse also powers the cruise. So I wasn't able to take it back out on the road and test the cruise again. And I have a feeling, it's just a feeling, but I have a feeling that it's gonna work today because we replaced that fuse last night and now we have all of the horn stuff all the way up to the front except for the horns, right? The switches are working. I rebuilt the steering wheel yesterday. The relay is clicking. I bet the cruise works, so I can't wait to go test that out. But yesterday, of course, I opened the sunroofs and now the car is completely apart. And yes, I saw your comments as well. Some people now think, because we got the CD player working, and with the CD player working, the aux in on the dash is still not working. So other people were like, that aux in could be wired to the tape head instead of the CD player. So now we gotta test it out with a cassette in there, right? We gotta just keep testing. I can't find my 3.5 mil to cassette adapter anywhere. I must have bought like 20 of them over the years. I had so many cars where we had to have aux-ins back in like the early 2000s, right? So what I did find is my John Michael Montgomery greatest hits. First, we're gonna find out if the cassette player works, then we're gonna find out if the aux-in works. I kinda don't think it does. But after that, we're gonna keep fixing the sunroofs, mostly because the driver sunroof, I even took all the glass out so I could work on the rails. I took it all the way apart. So the glass is in the back seat now, and I took it in and cleaned it like crazy. So it's gonna be crispy and new when it goes back on, and the rails are gonna be absolutely clean because now I can stick my head out of there and get in there with rags to make sure that we get it all perfectly cleaned out so it runs super smooth with all new grease. Before we do that though, let's test the first two problems, the easy ones. I think I might just disconnect everything in the ceiling here and then we'll just take it out for a drive, and let's also test out the cassette player. All right, I went ahead and took down the whole upper console here. All I had to do was unplug all the switches, and I did find this wire that was never plugged into the sunroof motor there. It's a ground, and it just attaches to the motor case, so I don't think it's a big deal. It was working just fine, but kind of interesting that that ground wasn't there. And then also, this is like a mystery connector here, you know? I think there's supposed to be some kind of digital thing that sits on the blank that's like right in here. But with that said, we are ready to test out our head unit here, so let's turn this thing on. Here we go. Little side A action. Don't eat my tape. I like this tape. I think it's turned all the way up and it's not playing. Man, can you imagine if this... Oh, there it goes. Well, I think we're stuck with CDs. No matter what I do, it does not work. I threw the cassette in, got to a blank space on it, tried the aux in. It does not work. It's funny because it almost looks factory right there, but you know, it's definitely not working. I could tear it all apart and see what it's hooked up to, but I think we're just gonna call it and listen to the CDs or bring an FM transmitter. And we're headed off into the Kalahari, to test out the cruise control here. I think it's time. So we're gonna hit the master, and then we're gonna hit the set. And nothing happened. The switches are working for sure. You can hear the relays clicking down here. Yep, all the cruise relays work. We'll try it a little bit faster. We'll try it closer to 50 or so. But I think the cruise is just done. More troubleshooting to do there. Master off, master on. And we'll hold set. Nothing. We'll get back to work on the Land Rover here in just a moment, but first I need to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Wolfbox. You guys know I love a good dash cam, and today we are installing the G900 TriPro into the Land Rover. Now this, instead of just being a dash cam that we throw on the glass, is an actual mirror, and it's 3 channels with a camera on the front that's 4K, a camera on the rear that's 2.5K, and an extra camera for the cabin that's 1080p. So let's get to installing my new mirror. The G900 mounts to your existing rear view mirror with some little rubber bands that go around the back. You can see I've got all the cameras hooked up, power hooked up. Everything is set up now, so here's the best part. All we gotta do is turn on the car. So we've got our triple screen view here with the front camera, cabin camera, and our rear camera, and if we swipe sideways, we can have a digital rear view mirror like any loaded new car. We've got a Sony StarViz 2 sensor in that front camera, making the footage look absolutely crispy, and this is that 2.5K rear camera that you're looking at right there, doing the live rear view mirror action, and it also looks absolutely stunning. The G900 has 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so you can download those clips ultra quickly from the dash cams to your phone. So if you're looking for something to spend your Christmas money on today, I'll throw a link in the description below to the Wolfbox G900 TriPro so you can check it out and pick one up for your car today. Huge thank you to Wolfbox for being the sponsor of today's video and being a continued supporter of automotive creators like me. Now, back to the Land Rover. Horn fuse blew instantly. I don't know why, because obviously while we were trying the horn yesterday, it was all working perfectly. You could hit the button and hear the relay click. So let's get under the hood here. And we're going to check that fuse again. And then also someone else said that the AC cooling fan locks up all the time, and that's why that fuse is blown, because it tried to start and there's just too much resistance from that motor being stuck. If it really is the horn fuse, then it almost has to be, what was it, F16 here, the very first one? It almost has to be a bad cruise module, right? Oh! I'm wrong, the fuse is not blown, but for some reason we don't hear a horn anymore. Very weird. Also, let's take a look at that 140. Oh, didn't blow yet either. But for some reason we don't get a horn relay. We do too. There's the horn relay, you hear it pull in. All right, I was wrong about that. I wonder if there's a way for us to test the cruise module somehow. Let's hook the tablet up and see if there's some cruise diagnostics. I don't think there are. I don't think there's even a cruise module on this thing. It seems like it's pretty much OG cruise, but there's a chance we can try to actuate it. Well guys, when I scan the Disco, the cruise module doesn't respond, but lo and behold, here's the cruise module. I just pulled it out. It is not on fire. This is fully covered in like conformal coating there to make sure it doesn't fail. And it looks good. The cap doesn't look blown. It's pretty funny. This has a Hella Intel Oki chip on it. Like everybody came together to make whatever that M83C154S-C43 chip is. So I assume that's supposed to be doing all the CAN processing and all that fun stuff. And then this relay here is what's supposed to actuate the pump. And you know what we haven't tested? The pump. So I think I wasted my time digging this out, and it's a nightmare to get out of there. You have to tear basically everything apart, and then this sits on the stud so tight that it will not come out. So whatever, I got the cruise module out, took a look at it. I don't think it's broken, even if it doesn't respond on the CAN bus. I feel like we need to put power to the cruise control pump and see if we can make it spin up. Boy, this cruise control troubleshooting has gone too far, right? We pulled the module. I think that's still out, but this is the pump. I was like, you know what, maybe the pump's locked up, so let's go there. So now here's the physical pump test. It runs fine. Pumps and everything. You can hear the change when you like apply and let vacuum off of it. So that's working absolutely perfectly. And there's a couple different, there's a solenoid here and a solenoid here in the cruise module to maybe, I guess, just hold vacuum and release it, something like that. So maybe it can actually pump up, which is pretty cool. That way this motor doesn't have to run all the time. But hey, that wasn't happening before. I tested this solenoid, it's good. It does seem like we might have all the solenoids and we're not getting signal from the ECU here, from the cruise module. Before we call it, I'm gonna go ahead and hook up this solenoid and we're gonna see if it works. Works great. All right, well, that rules out basically everything we've been working on. This solenoid here has these two little connectors and they're in order. This keeps them in order, and make sure you put both of them back on those 2 studs right there. But when you take it apart, you gotta pull that apart. All right, guys, I've exhausted about everything on the planet in the front of the Land Rover, right? We've done everything but replace the cruise module. The pump itself, which we do know physically works and does like vacuum a little bit of air. I can't tell if it like does everything correctly, but I do know that it does pump. So then I was reading another thread, and people say this is definitely not true, but some people on the Land Rover forum say it is true. If the third brake lights burn out, the cruise control module might not work. So I just replaced the third brake light, and now we can put the housing back together. I tested it, it works. And also, while I'm in here, I'm changing every single bulb in this thing. So you can see I've cut my bulb selection out here, and we're having trouble finding the number, the sheer number of 1156s this thing uses. It uses a ton, and I have to go get these bulbs too, whatever this is. I think it's a 1231 or something like that. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I need a bunch of those. I'm gonna take both taillights out, and we're gonna go through every single bulb. Thought we were gonna go a day without an O'Reilly's run, huh? We weren't. Gotta get light bulbs. All right. What up?
What's up, bud?
Nothing. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Man,
always glad to help.
I think we got it. That's a lot of light bulbs.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, let's get back to the Land Rover. We've got an entire box of 1156 here because every bulb on that thing happens to be 1156 for the most part. I know there's also a flaky front turn signal, but I'm pretty sure you can't remove the turn signal without pulling the bull guard off or the push bar. So that's gotta wait. It works right now, but it's a little flaky. Guys, this whole thing is a pretty wild concept, but basically what people are saying is if you don't have all of the tail lights, the resistance is wrong on the stop switch, so the cruise module doesn't properly engage. So it's checking for resistance through the brake light circuit, I guess. You know, at this point, since the cruise module didn't reply on the CAN bus or on whatever bus this uses, I'm pretty sure it's a dead cruise module. I'm like 99% sure the cruise module is the real problem, but I'm not giving up. We're trying everything. So we're replacing every single light in the back end. I just finished replacing every single bulb on here, and there were more burnt out. The running lights were actually dead, one of them was. So once we're done putting all this back together and getting all the screws back in it, we'll put this back, and then I'll go ahead and do all the bulbs in that one as well. And of course, now we have a working third brake light. Every light on the bottom is working. So hopefully after this, if there's any chance of it working, the cruise module will work. And we are leaving the guards off as this goes back together so I can clean these up and paint them black again. I might actually have them powder coated black. That would be cool. But for now, we've got working lights all the way through. Every single bulb works now, including the third brake light. This one, luckily, they weren't burnt out because these screws are so stripped out, I can't even get it started. So I'm gonna have to get replacement screws before we take this apart. But all the rear lights are up. Let's see if it's got cruise. The cruise module's back in, everything's buttoned back up. We're ready to go for our test drive, but I wanted to mention one other thing. Another subscriber said yesterday that 40 amp under the hood is blown because the AC fan is locked up. So here is my long screwdriver. They said get in here and free up the fan and it'll start working again. But if we slide in here through the very expensive Kalahari grill, apparently these mesh grills are special here. The fan is totally locked up. You can see the grill is moving and the fan blades are flexing, but that motor is locked up tight, completely stuck. Wild. You know, my entire plan for today was to pull the plastic off the back sunroof and then break that one too. Because I had a feeling once I get that one working, you know, once I unstick the motor, do the rust clean out, make it run properly, that sunroof is also gonna open right up and not ever close again. So just a crazy amount of work before the sunroofs get back to the way they're supposed to work, at least. If there's one thing I've fixed on the Disco 2 that completely fixed its quality of life, it was this driver's seat here. As soon as I fixed it, it's so nice to drive. All right, I know this is only round 3 of testing, but it feels like round 300. Here we go again. So you pull towards you to set. Well, the Land Rover is back in the shop, guys. Like I said, we have tried everything. Everything for the cruise control is sorted out and it's not working. But on the plus side, the sunroof is back in. So we've got the sunroof back in, closed. I gotta reassemble everything here, but we got the sunroof working. Without the plastic, it looks really, really bad, but I'll put the whole roof back together here in a bit, and all the panels, and we fixed a lot of other stuff today too. Let's see, the rest of the dash is put back together. Basically everything is cleaned up now, but now we have to figure out the AC fan, and then maybe horns. I don't really need the horns. I've probably honked a horn like 7 times in my life, but let's be real, a lot of states require them for inspections, so maybe we'll go after the horns as well. But that's a lot of stuff checked off the to-do list here. I didn't work on the rear sunroof because it turns out you have to drop the entire headliner. So that's on a down the road to-do list here. Anyway, the Land Rover is ever closer to being back to the factory truck it was meant to be, and it's about time to start painting all the Kalahari stuff. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. It's getting more fun to drive by the minute. Yesterday was a little touch and go, but I mean, now we're getting it back together. And what we've got in the last 2 days, we got music, sunroofs, accessory power, the seat works. It's a lot of progress. Look at that, guys. I couldn't stop. I had to finish up the whole car. So we've got the whole roof put back together, all the switches, sunroof work, and it's cleaned again. I just cleaned it. And I wiped down the whole interior this time, so it's finally looking pretty clean in here. It's a pretty drivable vehicle. The only thing we're missing is the leather surround that goes around the 4-wheel drive high-low range selector there. So pretty close, but this thing is much, 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 much nicer now. I couldn't stop there, but I'll tell you where I can't stop. The back sunroof, it's not gonna open. I'm not taking it back apart. At least I'm not taking the headliner down. We're not gonna tear down this entire car to make that motor run. I know it was fun fixing the front motor. I had a good time doing that, and I wanted to do it again until I found out you gotta strip the whole car basically. So we'd be pulling out all the pillars, all the rear trim. It's just so much to get to that motor that it doesn't need to work. Just having a piece of glass there is good enough for me. I fixed the door latch too. The door latch was like being a complete piece of junk, and you'd pull on it and it wouldn't work. Like you'd have to like pull super hard, and all the time the door just didn't want to work right. So today I cleaned it out with brushes and water and air, got all the dirt out of it that I could till it looked basically brand new, scrubbed it, and then I filled it back up with super lithium grease, and now the latch runs super reliably. Because I'll tell you what, it was terrible before. You had to slam the door and pull super hard. Oh look, somebody was putting red line in it once. That's pretty cool.